don't come for me. I have a filter on because I've been crying and I look a very hot mess. Okay, so it's officially almost 2 a.m. here in Indianapolis. It's November 13th, 2022. 6 years ago today, on November 13th, not this early in the morning, it was like 9 p.m., 10 p.m. at night, on November 13th, my father was murdered. I say murdered because he died from neglect. To me, that is murder. If anyone dies from neglect, they were murdered. The person who neglected them murdered them. Period. Point blank. I will be screaming that till I die. He was murdered. In 2014, my father had a stroke. It paralyzed his left side and he had to relearn everything, which if you know stroke victims, you know how this goes. So my father was 46, okay, just 46 when he had his stroke. It's not very old, but it paralyzed his left side and he had to go to a rehab facility to relearn how to walk and stuff. For those that don't know, some nursing homes will house a rehab facility in like one of the corridors. They will host a rehab place where physical therapists can come in and help these people. They're not there because they're old and dying. They are not there because they have severe health issues. They're there literally for physical therapy, to relearn how to walk and just learn how to take care of themselves again. So my father was in this nursing home for 2 years. There was an incident where he had to get all of his teeth pulled out and get dentures because his teeth were so bad. And they got infected from the nursing home not giving him his medication and his antibiotics, and he almost died. Before he actually died, he almost died from an infection in his blood from them not giving him his antibiotics. We begged him to leave this place, but he told us no because he had friends there and he didn't want to be lonely. We couldn't force him. You know, he's grown. He can make his own decisions. So he decided to stay. And with him deciding to stay, there was a woman there, one of the CNAs or whatever you want to call her, that was assigned to his hallway the night of his passing. She was assigned to his hallway that whole weekend. And so my father was on probably like 3 medications. After having a stroke, he developed high blood pressure and some other issues. This woman did not give him his medications for a whole weekend. Did not check his vitals. Did not check it in on him, even though he was screaming that he was in pain. And even his roommate attests to this when we spoke with him after my father passed away. He said my dad was screaming in pain, saying, "They're gonna kill me, they're gonna kill me." Because the person assigned to his hallway literally just was ignoring his calls the whole weekend. Him needing his medication and stuff. And this woman is the one who called me and my sister to let us know that he was unresponsive. So we get there with the call that he's unresponsive. I was actually at work. So I had to call my boss and be like, "Hey, I literally got to leave. I got to go. My dad's unresponsive, blah, 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 blah." We get there. Unfortunately, he was already gone. EMS said that they tried to revive him. They couldn't, you know. So, of course, the funeral director's already there. They already called them. That was fucking fast. Funeral director was there. The manager of the nursing home was there. And somebody else was there. And we're just like, okay, our dad was only 48 years old. And he was healthy. He was to the point where he could get up on his own and go to the bathroom. That's how good he was doing physical therapy. He was able to get up in his wheelchair on his own and do shit on his own. He was getting to the point where we were talking about where he was going to go afterwards, whether it was assisted living or whatever. Okay. So my sister and I, we were like, we obviously want an autopsy because how could this have happened? He was doing so well. And we both had literally just seen him maybe 2 weeks prior to this, like, because of Halloween. So we had just seen him, brought him snacks and stuff. And we're just like, this is weird, this doesn't make any sense. And they were just like, we don't think an autopsy is necessary because he was here in a nursing home. Both are just like, he's not here because he's old and dying. He was here for physical rehab. He was here for physical therapy. My dad was not old. He was 48. That's not old. That's middle-aged. Like, that's not even old. And they were just like, well, we don't think it's necessary. And we're like, well, we want one. I'm pretty sure we can say we want one. And they got an attitude, whatever. So I take my dad out of his room. We're going through his stuff, trying to see who wants what, stuff like that. It's just a big mess, a huge mess. God, I don't even know. So weeks go by. Well, a week. We get his ashes back. We set up his funeral, all that stuff. Well, his celebration of life, because he was cremated. Oh my God, you can see where I've been crying, even with this filter on. But, so, God, so much went down. So we get his death certificate. And I'm going to assume they didn't do an autopsy because it says death unknown. And then they changed it to, I think it was heart attack or heart issues, which honestly he easily could have without being given his high blood pressure medication. Literally causes a stroke. I am an EMT now, so I know all this stuff. I obviously didn't back then, but he very well could have had another stroke or heart attack because he was not given his medication, which is murder and neglect. So, but at first, they were just like, we're just going to put unknown on the death certificate. We were like, no, we want an autopsy. I don't even think they did one. I think they were just like, just put heart attack. And just put heart attack. It is what it is, whatever. So, we have the services, yada, yada, yada. A week after we have Dad's services, a woman contacts my sister. My sister knows the woman. She was a manager at the nursing home my dad was at. And she said, I would like to have a meeting with you and your sister and your aunt, which was my dad's sister and power of attorney. I'd like to meet up with you girls for dinner. We were like, sure. We meet her up for dinner. And she is just like, I didn't want to tell you girls while you're going through this hard time. I wanted to wait till after you had his services and you guys have kind of went through the shock or whatever. We were like, okay, what's going on? And she said that she put in her 2 weeks notice at that job, at that nursing home, because she loved my dad. She knew my dad because my sister and her son dated at one point, so she already knew this woman. She loved my dad. She checked on him all the time. She loved him. She said that the woman that was assigned to my father's hallway didn't put in a single note for that weekend about my dad, did not sign off on his medications, nothing. She didn't do anything the whole weekend. He died on a Sunday, okay? I'm sorry, died Saturday or Sunday. He died on the weekend. And shouldn't put in any notes or nothing. Waited till that Tuesday to go in and do shit. That's not how that works. I've been in healthcare for I don't know how long. Even when my dad was when it's in the nursing home, I was working with group homes. Like you don't do that. So she goes in and puts in her stuff late. Okay, still doesn't sign off on medications or nothing like that. So it just proves that he wasn't given his medication. She was like, I put in my 2 weeks. This is what's going on. I really think your dad died from neglect. And me and my sister are pissed. My sister, she's, I don't know the word to use. I hate using that word ghetto. That's not a good word to use. That's not a good word to use. Don't use that word. She's rough around the edges. That's the way to say it. And she was ready to go up there and fight this woman. And the lady was like, don't do it. She goes, I'm trying to start an investigation. She was like, I put in my 2 weeks notice and I contacted the state. I'm going to have the state investigate this, try to get this place closed down, try to get that woman's license taken away, her certification taken away, whatever. We're like, okay. We're like, what can we do? Because that's not cool. Like, what the fuck? Like, we're thinking, We knew Dad's death was weird. But again, we were just like, maybe another heart attack. It's hard telling. So when we now get this news thrown at us, and we're just like, what the fuck, dude? So she's like, contacted state, go to investigation, blah, 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 blah. I think the most fucked up part about all of this is the woman that neglected my dad is the one who called to tell us that he was unresponsive. Her. She's the one. She's the first one we had to see when we got there. And her acting all shocked, you know. So that's already fucked up. So we keep in contact with this woman because, again, like I said, my sister already knew her for dating her son. And a week goes by or so, and we're just like, hey, any update? She said that state was saying it was enough evidence to get this woman in trouble because she did go back and do her notes. But regardless, when you do a note, it date and time stamps it, and it shows that she did it 2 days after the weekend. Like, no, that's like Medicaid fraud for one. You got to do it within 24 hours. Medicaid fraud. So anyways, so nothing happened. The state closed the case. We couldn't sue. We couldn't do nothing. Come to find out, another woman who was there strictly for physical therapy passed away a week after my dad. Another freak thing. Just passed away. Was there because she had a hip replacement and was going through physical therapy to learn how to rewalk again. She wasn't even old. The nursing home is still up and running. I don't know if that chick still works there. Don't even care. But I think my dad passed away in 2016. And the case was open the end of 2016 into 2017 or whatever. So I'm new to like law and stuff like that. So I was Googling like, how else can we sue? Like, how else can we get this place closed down so more people don't die? And I contacted like so many law firms and stuff, and they were just like, you have to have all this evidence, blah, 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 blah. I don't obviously have that. I don't have records. Don't know why it can't be investigated or whatever. And then I tried to get wrongful death lawyers because that's a thing, you know. But with wrongful death, I think the death had to have been the last 2 years. So now it's now been 6. There's nothing my sister and I can do. Nothing changes. That nursing home is still up and running. People are probably still being neglected and dying. But this time every year, that's all that I can think about is that had he not been assigned that woman in his hallway, he'd still be alive. He'd probably actually have his own place by now. He'd probably either have his own apartment with maybe someone coming over, check up on him, whether it was me or my sister, or a DSP, you know, whatever. But it is what it is. So, nursing homes suck. If you have a choice, don't send nobody there because nobody there cares. Period. Point.